Hello. I get to talk to you today about digital citizenship and internet safety. And I'm going to be using a lot of information from Google's program called Be Internet Awesome. Our learning objectives today are I can understand the importance of protecting private information online and recognizing scams. I understand the need to be kind online and what to do if bullying does occur. And I can learn ways to be safe online and while using my Chromebook. We're going to know that you're successful when you are able to safely and responsibly use a computer at school and at home. So, Google has set up different areas for us to focus on. And the first area is to be internet smart. And when we're smart about things that we share on the internet, we think about what we're sharing, what consequences come along with sharing that information, and how to keep information private to yourself.
The internet makes it easy to communicate with family, friends, and people who love the same things that you do. We send messages, share pictures, and join conversations on social networks, sometimes without giving a second thought. Like a book that's been published and is now available at every bookstore, any information you post on the internet can become permanent and influence how others perceive you. In other words, it can affect your online reputation. That's why it is important to know the difference between public and private information that you may not want to post or share online. People have different ideas about what they want to keep private. Your online privacy includes establishing your own boundaries around what and how much information you share. Remember that the information you share online gradually leaves a footprint, and therefore it's easy to track. Your digital footprint is basically everything on the internet that is about you. It may include photos, videos, posts, and comments that you write on friends' pages. When sharing and posting stuff online, think about the long-term consequences. A picture, message, or post that you think is funny and harmless today could be seen by unintended audiences, misunderstood, downloaded, or copied and misconstrued in the future. For online media and social networks, privacy settings are an important tool to help you decide how much information you share, when, and with whom. Make sure you're familiar with the privacy settings of the different social networks and messaging services that you use, and adjust them so that you're sharing only with people you trust. And make sure you know what you're sharing. For example, did you know that many photos you share on social networks can be geotagged and reveal your physical location? While you may want to publicly share a photo of the cake you just baked in your kitchen, you might not want to tell the world where you live. Online privacy also means respecting the boundaries of others and the settings they choose. Remember, if a friend shared something with you, that doesn't mean that they want you to share it with everyone. Respect their decisions and don't overshare.
So, I'm going to give you some questions now that is up for you to decide if you should be posting this information publicly. So these questions, you're going to respond to them by giving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or maybe it depends on the situation. So as a class, I'd like you to have conversations about if it's okay or if it's not okay for you to be sharing this information publicly. And so when we say publicly, that doesn't mean posting it on Google Classroom, or that doesn't mean sharing it to something that is just for your class. This means posting it onto, say, social media or something that lots of other people outside of your classroom would see. So here's some questions. Go ahead and pause the video in between if you'd like to have conversations about it. And your responses are going to be thumbs up, thumbs down, or something we call a gray area. That maybe it depends on the situation and it depends on what it's being shared on. So, to be internet smart, we're going to remember these tips. The first thing, we're going to be a positive presence online, just like we are in real life. Tip number 2, we're going to think before we post. Number 3, we're going to keep our private information private. Tip number 4, don't assume that people online will see you the way that you think they see you. Sometimes we put out a different view of ourselves online than is in real life. And so we have to think about how different people can be perceiving what we're posting in different ways. And tip number 5, it's always important to respect other people's privacy choices, even if they aren't the choices that you'd make. So the question that asked, is it okay for you to share your classmate's photo? There's a lot more that goes into that. If the other person doesn't feel comfortable with you sharing that picture, then the answer is no. Whether you want to share it or not, if the other person's privacy choice is no, then we are going to respect that choice. The next part is to be internet alert. And to be alert on the internet means to know the difference between what's real and what's fake, to understand phishing, and to spot the potential signs of a scam. So, an internet scam is an attempt to trick someone online, usually with the intention of stealing money or private information. These are real examples of internet scams. And in these scams, there are a few things that we can look out for. The first thing is, if you look up at the top where it says from, the email address that it's coming from is not the real Office 365 website. So when we get a message from somebody, sometimes it looks like it should be real. But if we look at who it's from, if you hover over that from, it will show you the email address that it came from. And oftentimes it is a fake email address. In these scam emails, there is usually some kind of a threat. Your account is going to be closed. Your boss is going to be really upset. Your bank account is going to be closed. Something like that. There's some kind of threat of something bad is going to happen. Oftentimes, there are spelling mistakes that are not super obvious. Like this, features. If you were reading this quickly, you might not even notice that that's spelled incorrectly, especially because if we read the threat first, oftentimes we feel our emotion taking over, and then we start getting worried and don't notice those spelling mistakes. We might also notice there are grammatical errors. So notice that there's a space before the comma where there should not be. Again, if our emotions are taking over, we might not be noticing that the comma is incorrect. And then at the very bottom, there is a fake email signature. If this was really from Outlook or from Office 365, it would not have just that typed email signature. Another way that we can spot a fake is if you hover over where it says click here to view your message on the left side. If you hover over it, that little window will pop up to show you what the link is that clicking is going to take you to. And if you look at that, that has nothing to do with that person's human resources department. Even though the email address looks right, even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of issues on this, if you hover over that link, you see that it is not going to take you to something good. It's not taking you to something from your actual job or from your school district or from something important. One of the most common ways that identity thieves get your private information is through something called phishing. And phishing is when someone poses as an institution like a bank or a school and sends you a personalized message asking you to provide private information. You might think of this as someone is trying to catch your private information. They are trying to catch that information from you.
Most of the stuff you find on the web is good and can be useful. But just as in the offline world, you also need to watch out for the occasional bandit. In the offline world, if a stranger offered you some candy, you know better than to take it. The same principle applies online. If someone offers you a discount coupon, asks you to take a survey to win a free smartphone, or tells you that you want a trip to Hawaii, you should be suspicious of the content and the intention behind it. Social engineering is a technical term for content that tricks you into revealing personal information, like your login details or credit card number. Social engineering attacks can happen over email, ads, or web pages. Some attacks can be pretty easy to spot. Remember the rich prince who wanted to transfer millions of dollars to your account? But others can be sophisticated and pretty convincing. So let's talk about some steps you can take to avoid online scams. One of the most common ways to trick users is through email. Social engineering emails look like they're from a legitimate source, but they're not. For example, an email may claim to be from a bank and say that your banking account has been compromised and that you must quickly email them your password to avoid having the money stolen. It's important to remember, never send personal information over email unless you're absolutely sure who you're sending it to. Attackers will use every trick in the book to make you believe that the address in an email is legitimate, faking the from address to make it look like it's from someone you know. So don't use the reply address in the message unless you are sure who the sender is, and don't click on links in the email. Instead, open a new window and type in the official website of the bank or company in question and find the contact address. Social engineering can also happen when you visit a web page. Scammers will generate a sense of urgency and create websites that look similar to sites that you already use. That's why, when visiting a web page, pay close attention to the page's URL, because attackers will often make this URL look similar to that of a genuine site. Before you enter any personal information on a web page, check the URL to make sure it starts with HTTPS and is preceded by a locked padlock icon. Other types of scams can trick you into downloading malware or unwanted software that may harm your device or steal your personal information. A website or an ad cannot detect if your machine is compromised. If you see a message while browsing saying that your computer is infected and asking you to download software, you should be suspicious. Remember to always download software from reputable sources. Now you know what social engineering is, as well as steps you can take to avoid online scams. And remember, if something looks too good to be true, it probably isn't.
So we are going to stay internet alert. We're going to double check a site for its credibility. We're going to make sure that we're using secure websites. We're not going to fall for scams. If you get an email saying that your Office 365 account is going to be deleted, you have to click here. Do not click it. Just delete it. Remember that it can happen to anyone. And if it does happen to you, you do not need to be embarrassed or afraid to tell someone. Tell your teacher right away, I think I clicked on a scam. And then your teacher can contact the help desk, and the help desk will help them to get that sorted out. And remember that websites or ads can't tell if there's anything wrong with your device. So if you get onto a website and it says, you need to click here, there's an issue with your computer, click here to fix the issue. Do not click on it. That is a scam. Remember, the scam is trying to give you an immediate threat. And if you get a thing saying that your computer is in danger, that is an immediate threat, and we are not going to click on that. Next, we are going to be internet strong. You now get to create your own passwords. This is something new for you, and it means that you have a lot of responsibility now. You need to protect your password. We're going to create a password that is memorable, but also not easy to guess. And we're going to have a strong password.
People sometimes think of security as a technical issue, and it can be. But a big part of online safety involves simple, smart practices like selecting good passwords. You can think of your password like the code to a vault where you keep your most valuable documents and information. Make sure your password is strong and don't share it with others. To create a strong password, use a mix of lower and uppercase letters, numbers, and symbols, and make it between 8 and 9 characters long. Avoid using any identifiable information such as your name, address, phone number, or personal information that is easy to guess, like your pet's name, name of your school, your favorite team, etc. Choose a different password for each of your important accounts, like your email, social network, and online banking accounts. Reusing passwords is risky. If someone figures out the password for one of your accounts, it's possible they could get access to your personal information or other online services that you use. But how can you create a different password for each account that meets all this criteria and that's easy to remember? The answer is simple. You can create a passphrase. To create a passphrase, first think of a sentence that's easy for you to remember. For example, I met Alice in San Francisco in 2011. Now take the first letter of each word in the sentence and use it to create your passphrase. Where possible, convert words into symbols to make your passphrase stronger. There you have it.
Now we're going to talk about being internet kind and being internet brave. And when we are internet kind and internet brave, we are respectful to others, and we also stand up for others if we notice that they are not being respected. So the word that we're going to talk about is cyberbullying, and this is not a new word to you, I'm sure. Cyberbullying is using digital devices, sites, and apps to intimidate, harm, and upset someone. When we are internet kind, we are going to follow the golden rule. And that means to treat other people the way you want to be treated. And I actually just heard the other day a change to the golden rule a little bit that I think is really impactful. And instead of treat others the way you want to be treated, it's treat others the way they want to be treated. And if we look at it through that lens, then we are treating other people with kindness in a way that they feel is being kind. The second tip is to be an upstander. And we've talked about upstanders before. And an upstander stands up for somebody who is having a cyberbullying situation or standing up for them at school. If we witness this, if we witness somebody being cyberbullied, we're going to report it right away. We're going to tell somebody who can help. We're going to do simple actions to turn negative interactions into positive ones. A way that we can change the negativity online is to change the comments to be really positive and continue that positive trend rather than falling into doing what everybody else is doing and keep making it negative, negative, negative. We can change the conversation and turn it into something positive. We're going to make good decisions about choosing what we're going to say. If you wouldn't say it in real life, then we're not going to say it online. If you wouldn't feel comfortable with somebody taking a screenshot of what you said and sharing it with a grown-up, then it should not be sent. And tip number 5, we're going to spread kindness online. You may be text messaging with friends. You may be playing video games with friends where you get to have a chat with each other. And this is the perfect time for you to be following these kindness tips. Remember, anything that you say online can be screenshotted and shared or can be added to your digital footprint.
It's fun to connect with friends online, while playing games, texting, using social media, and more. But screens sometimes make it easy for people to say or do things they wouldn't say or do in real life, including things that are mean and cruel. When cruelty is online, intentional, repeated, and harmful, it's called cyberbullying. And to be the target of cyberbullying can be devastating. But the good news is, when bullying happens online, lots of people see it. If you happen to be one of those people, you can help put an end to it by being an upstander or someone who stands up to cruelty. There are 3 easy ways to be an upstander. Number 1, you can ask the bully to stop. This takes courage. And it's also important to remember that behind every cruel deed is a real person who may be in need of empathy too. Number 2, you could give comfort to the target. A kind word might be just the thing they need to turn their world around. Number 3, you can and should take a screenshot of any cyberbullying you see and show it to a trusted adult. This is how we can put a stop to cyberbullying. Now, wouldn't that be upstanding?
So in that video, we know we can directly say to the person, stop. I don't want you saying that to me anymore. Please do not say this anymore. I will tell a grown-up that this is happening. Let them know right up front that you are not going to be taking these messages anymore. You can also put down the device. If you don't want to be interacting and having the conversation with that person anymore, put it down and walk away. You also can block and report and unfollow people. If this is happening on a phone or on a Chromebook or on a tablet, you have the ability to block that person and to report that person. And the last thing, which I think is the most powerful thing, would be to take a screenshot and show it to a grown-up. If that person knows that you are going to be showing a grown-up what they are saying and doing online with a screenshot, I have a feeling that behavior is going to stop. So you can take a screenshot on your Chromebook. If somebody is messaging you on your Chromebook in a way that you do not like, it makes you uncomfortable, all you have to do is press the control key and the screenshot key. And that will add that screenshot into your Chromebook that you could then show your teacher or your principal or your MTSSB counselor, anybody, any grown-up you could show that picture to. If it's happening on your phone, you can take a screenshot on your phone or on your tablet and show that to a grown-up, because that takes the power away from the person that's sending it to you. If you tell them, I am screenshotting this and sending it to a grown-up. So we are going to make a pledge. We're going to be good digital citizens. And the way that we can do that is to follow these steps that we have been talking about today. Remember, we are not going to fall for scams. We are going to keep our logins and passwords and private information private. We're only going to use apps and websites that our teacher allows in class at that time. I will search for appropriate content, images, and websites. Your teachers are probably having you do research or find information online. And in that, they are trusting you to be responsible and only look up appropriate content. If you do see something that is inappropriate or you witness cyberbullying happening, we're going to immediately tell an adult. I will comment and post appropriately with teacher permission. You may have the opportunity to write on a Google Classroom stream or in a Microsoft team or in different ways, interact and comment on your school platforms. And if you do, we're going to keep those positive, we're going to keep it helpful, and we're going to remember that we're only doing this with teacher permission. I will be responsible and treat my device with respect. And to do that, we're going to use our device with clean hands, especially when we're coming back in from recess. and we're going to carry it carefully. We are going to make sure that we don't have paper and pencils in between the keys and the screen. That is not good for our devices. We're going to keep food and drink away from the device. And we're going to remember that this is a computer from the school. So that means we have to still follow school rules and our teacher's classroom rules when we're using those devices. Using our devices and going online is so much fun, and we get to do so many wonderful things when we use our computers. But it's also important for us to remember to be respectful, responsible, and safe while you are at school and online. I hope you enjoy your time on the computer. I hope you remember this pledge to be a good digital citizen, and I hope you have a wonderful school year.